Alright, this is a video for just mitigation alone, only mitigation and nothing more, okay? Let me orientate the phone. Okay, so like I said, this video is only and only for mitigation purpose alone, so we can all understand mitigation. Now, with WWA, you all would understand that they deal with trading inducement, but the question is, how do you identify the inducements? That's what you don't see. How do you identify the inducements? You identify the inducements by understanding the flow of price. How do you understand the flow of price? You need to look for, firstly, the trend, understand mitigation, and then understand where the market has swept, which is the inducement on its own. Okay, now how do you first of all understand the trend? It's simple. You can go on your other time frame and just draw your zigzag, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, now cool. Now is an uptrend before, as you can see, giving us a pool of liquidity right here. And then what do we have? An injection of price which record what? The inducement box. And what did we see? We see a sweep of the inducements, and now it's time for price to come for the slope. That's the first thing you see and you understand. Easy and nice. Okay, let me erase that. Let's go into lower time frame to actually get the flow of price at the moment. So I will scale back into 1 hour. Okay, what do we see next now? Coming from this guy right here, I think someone asked me, why did I trade this guy in this zone? Now, the reason is I traded this is because there is an inducement coming from somewhere from the back right here, right? There's an inducement coming this way. Or you know what? Let me drag the inducement so that it can be visible and you all can see it very well. I'll go back to my 4 hour. And then we'll drag it so everyone can see and understand very well exactly what price is doing. I'm going to use my liquidity line, red. Perfect. So we go back to 1 hour. Let's break price down. Price move from liquidity points to liquidity points. This right here is a liquidity point. Okay. Now price has ejected that area. Naturally, I took a sell at first as well, but then when I realized that price is now doing what? When I realized that price was now like giving me a trend line liquidity here, if I go to 15 minutes, we can see that clearly. Okay. First of all, I needed to identify liquidity. Liquidity comes first in everything that we are doing. Okay. We can see a build up. We can see build up of liquidity here, ejection, break of structure, another build up in this leg, inducement, break of structure, another build up in this leg, inducement, failed to give us a break of structure, and then price went up. Now, why did he do that? That is where understanding inducement comes in. Inducement isn't necessarily about market structure and coming back to supply and demand. No, that's not how inducement works. You need to understand that price only magnetizes towards some certain levels in the market. Now, what level am I talking about? Liquidity zones. Looking at this area right here. You see that? This is the last low that created this high, and we can see from this area right here, the market swept it. That liquidity line has been swept. This I like to keep in. I like to keep this in purple. Now, this liquidity line right here, you can see market swept it. Once you see market has swept an area like this, and it is within your time window, there is nothing you should think about. And secondly, why is this area a smart money trap? This area right here became a smart money trap because of I keep having series of liquidity at this high, this point, trend line liquidity. giving me a trendline liquidity. And after the trendline liquidity, I got a liquidity sweep also, which induced this area, giving me an internal break of structure. Then definitely this has to be my mode of entry to target back this high. Boom. That is how it works. Now, price walk from liquidity to liquidity, in what sense is that? Now let me put it into chart so we can understand very well. Now I'm going to draw it for you guys so that you can learn and see from what I'm doing as well. This is how price moves. We have high low like this. Okay, now first of all, I'm going to give you a few seconds to identify the liquidity point. Where do you think the liquidity points are? I can only see one liquidity point, but that liquidity point is leading to two liquidity points, which is what and what. First of all, we need to first identify the previous low, previous high. Okay, now this is the recent high, and then we have another high, which is this guy. Okay, we have another high. This is basic stuff, some basic stuff, but you guys will know that it is very important. This is another high. Now, not all of these highs are valid. Now let's look for the lows. Let's drag the lows across as well. The one we use as break and retest levels that cause the break of structure. Mitigation done. Now, from this low to this high becomes your other block that gave you the break of structure. As long as this guy came inside here, which is this other block range, as long as it comes inside, it means it has mitigated it. It's now made it something of relevance to look out for it to take a trade to the other direction. Okay, let me keep dragging across till we get to the liquidity. Now, this next one, this low to this high, is your next point that needs mitigation. Now, this guy that came up here, if it came inside here, then it is a proper mitigation. But because it didn't come inside here, this becomes your liquidity. This becomes what? Your liquidity. Now, when price is coming back, it's coming back inside here to mitigate before going back down. That is the way price moves. That is how price moves. It's always come from a mitigation area, a mitigation junction, and a mitigation area. So that is why you'd see me most of the time drawing something like this and calling this area SMT trap. And I keep calling it an SMT trap because it failed to mitigate inside of this zone. So this right here becomes a trap. Okay, so what I would do in this case is what? I drag my line right here, look for a buy entry model, and then I take my trade from the low region into this high to target my take profit, or at least into this high right here. That is how you identify what causes the inducement. Now let's go back to the chart so you can understand properly exactly what I mean. Okay, I like to clear my charts. I don't like it dirty, sorry. Give me a moment. Okay, now let's go back to charts. Let's understand what the market is doing. So this happened, took out this low within our time window. It happened within so it's time 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock we add the internal break of structure, and then we came for the mitigation of this O box right here, like so. You can see that automatically becomes the demand level. Okay, that's why that long became something of paramount. Now let's trade forward to actually understand what the price is doing. Okay, I'll use a supply now from this region, which is the low, or I'll use here from this low to this high is the next supply zone. This area becomes the next supply zone. Call this supply. Now, where's your next supply zone? As you can see, it is from this low to this high. From this low to this high becomes your next supply zone. Can you see that? If you off the candles and you put it in line, you would see this very well and clearly. Let's see if we can do that. No, I don't really know how to do it. Okay, here it is. If you use line, you can see it. Oh, it didn't touch. But what do you see? We can see like something like a sweep right here. It didn't show even on line, but it's okay. Let's go back to candles. So this area though becomes your what? Your next point of mitigation. Now it didn't mitigate it, no problem, but we still understand that it's from this low to that high. So it is a perfect mitigation. Okay. Now the next mitigation point now in this case became what? Originally it's supposed to be what? From this low to this high. But because it is so large in price, so large in momentum and all of that, it's made sense for, I think I've HTTP. I'll check later. It's made sense for price to look for something internal, and in this case, came to use this. If you check using FXCM, this is a nice mitigation. But I'm using, I don't know, probably because of the news volatility that is happening right now for the US government and its likes. um I'm not able to use FXCM. I'm using forex and Ohando, and they seem to not be mitigating. Oh, it actually mitigated, but not that effectively. And I like it when my trades are effective in price. So we can see this is a mitigation, giving us what? Before that, we had what? The build up, of course, of liquidity. Let me use the pen tool. We had this build up, okay? Mitigation inside here, internal change of character or break of structure. It even came back into that area lower, causing a deep break of structure and then coming back to mitigate, and the price continued to flow to the downside. So that's just the name of price. That's how the price work. That's how everything goes. You just keep following your mitigation zones to mitigation zones to mitigation zones to mitigation zones, and you would never, 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 ever lose to the trend. Uh shit. We didn't eat TP on this morning. So as you can see what I did. All of this is what? A liquidity line now. So I'm expecting price to come back to take out all of those liquidity as time goes on. I had used my 5 minutes to place this entry, using that O zone as my mitigation area. That I expected price to come to this liquidity zone, or this demand on the 1 minute, to then do what? Take price higher into that mitigation, because I don't like using Asian eye. You all know that. So it's my supply zone for me to drive price back. But as you can see, what did the market do? It only pinched their liquidity zone and then reversed. Let me see. Oh, so this is exactly what happened. You see, that's why it's good to be careful. This was the low. This is the high. This is the low. This was the high. Then there was no break of structure here. That was where I fumbled. So this was the next, at least the next low. This would have been the right low, but then it didn't mitigate anything of substance. Okay, so this here was supposed to become my other block, and I should look for entry inside that zone. That's why it came mitigated inside there, and I actually missed the entry. So we need to be careful, guys. We need to be careful. This is just Monday's trade, and we don't know what the price would do with the whole US government issue at the moment, but this area has been breached, so this trade is off the table. But what do we see now? We have liquidity sweep of Asia. Perfect. Sorry about that. Liquidity sweep of Asia. Perfect. Now I'm expecting price to ride the way to take out all of this liquidity back into, give me some kind of confirmation, and then boom into here. If it gets here, then I'm targeting this low right here. So that's it, guys. You don't need to make trading hard, man. Just follow the pattern, follow the mitigations, and the rest would come easy. Okay, so this will be all on this video. I'm swinging actually, so I've not really been paying much attention to the chart and its likes for a while now. So yeah, so I'll see you guys all on the next one. Peace, everyone.